Greetings and welcome. I'm Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. I'm guided by Spirit. Let's keep hitting that bell icon so you can get alerts to new episodes. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. Alright, so we're kicking off Volume 1, the 27-9 Club. And we'll be profiling Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin's profiles, as well as their unfortunate days of demise, let's say. Alright, so we're going to start off with Jimi Hendrix, born November 27, 1942. Now, here's an interesting profile. The 11-2 is a power number. Anyone with a power number has a particular calling for this lifetime. People with power numbers are called for a purpose. And of course, we all know Jimi Hendrix for his music and how we individually experience that music. I mean, I've been a Jimi Hendrix fan since 1991, let's say. During my varsity days, I caught on to Jimi Hendrix. And of course, when you look at numbers like 38, 11-2, we can all agree that he crosses communities. The 3 is communities, 8 is the message. So there are more than one communities with a message that he's sending out to the world. And he is definitely considered a crossover artist, appealing to all races, in fact all cultures. Jimi Hendrix is like the Bob Marley of music, right? The 27-9 is where his lyrical genius is where his musical genius is. 9 is genius. 9 is like higher learning, higher achievements. But when you supersonic a 9, you become genius levels. So even on a bad day, a 9 is far better than average. Let's put it that way. Now, Jimi Hendrix has also a stack of 9s. He is a life path 9. And of course, we know even in contemporary times where we see things like autism, but, you know, there is the saying of creative genius that also applies. And the issue, or not the issue, I mean, 9s are beautiful in the mind in that they will construct their worlds in their mind. They have caves within their mind where in the mind they solve problems. Okay? 9s are actually problem solvers, but the way they solve problems is in the mind first. So any song, any idea, creative idea gets worked out practically in the mind, not just the idea. 9 is the idea. Now, when we go up here, 18-9, singing about the idea, music. 27, the performance. 8, performance, beg your pardon. 7 is like the band, the music. 3, 6, 9 is singing, dancing, partying. 4, 5, 9 speaks about the process of getting to that song. And I've, anecdotal story, I was a band manager for a very short time in between TV jobs and film jobs. And let me tell you, the night we got our first performance going, it bombed for various reasons, very difficult. The money we made at the door was enough to feed us for the night. But the second gig, we got our money back, so we made good money on the second, but it wasn't for me. It is not an easy situation. Music, in terms of if you want to look at the evolution of a musician, and the processes involved in becoming a musician, in other words, playing an instrument or singing. Singing is an instrument, voice is an instrument. But then the collaboration of others to make it all happen. It's not an easy thing. I was fortunate witness to a local band that were very famous. I'm not going to drop names. But just to understand the process of the chaos that would begin, like here's a good example, 54. When they get into the rehearsal room for the first time on a new song, it is chaos. So 5 difficulties. Now it's been reduced to 4. Something manageable, something that is scripted, written, the song. And then, of course, you still have to apply all then the musical instrument side of it, right? Which brings out the 9. So the lyrics and songs going on in his head will eventually come out once he has solved it, or once he has enough to work on it. That is the beauty of a 9. 9s are beautiful. Now, the 16-7 is very curious for me. And I'm going to take it on. It is a very high spiritual number. It is the psychic. It's the spiritual connection. And I believe, based on some of the literature I've read, that is where you'll find his connection, his soul connection and connection with the universe. 16-7. Human, 6. Universe, 7. Get it? Get it, my psychic friends? So, and then when you bring in these 11 twos, that is engaging with people, yes. Now, here is the music part, 38-11-2, and here is the lyrics and songs and connecting with people, 2-9-11-2. So here's power numbers, so very, very strong in his profile. And we know, a creative, lyrical genius. Now, when we look at the untimely demise of Jimi Hendrix, and while I was preparing these slides, the thought crossed my mind. The gentleman from Led Zeppelin, not Led Zeppelin, beg your pardon, that's too way back. God, I'm going to kick myself now. Metallica. So the gentleman from Metallica, look at him currently performing with big audiences, right? And this is what we were denied as a public, to see Jimi Hendrix in his 50s, 60s performing the Golden Tour or something, whatever it is today. Do you know what I mean? That's what we've been denied. So, by all accounts, the event is registered as September 18th. So I'm going to make it orange for this purpose. Now, of course, we immediately see the double 18 9s there. I've just spotted that, like, as we get in. I did do some prep. I've actually been preparing this for a book. And I've been working on it except for the past month, right? I've done all the research, I've done all the base work. I'm ready to write it, as it were, right? But this morning, which is now August 12, I received a message. So here we are, in a restless place like this is. All right, that is from the Water Boys. All right, I saw the whole of the moon. I saw the whole of the moon. Okay. September 18, 1970, having done some pre-prep work, for me is problematic. And we note the 26-8 here, and that's a staging number, staging. So we can agree, as far as we know, For example, it wasn't a very violent murder. In other words, detrimental to the biology of the human. In other words, 26-8 in a gunfight, bullet-ridden crime scene, it would be a 26-8 scene. But because it's a light, let's say he passes other than bullets or violence, let's say strangulation, because there's 16-7, and I just felt strangulation around my throat. And remember, I've been working on this for several months now, so my connection is in. So 26-8, we got a staging number, which is problematic. Guess who we have on the scene, ladies and gentlemen, here? We have a 44-8. So this was, whatever it is or was by design. In other words, it's a premeditation number. When you have that kind of sophistication of planning, it's a sophisticated plan. 4 are plans. 4. Now you got double 4s gives an 8. Sophistication, it's a power number. So we got people meddling in the background. Ping, pong, CIA, FBI. There was a situation during this time, and the intention that Operation Chaos had, whether they, at the time it was denied, but it's now open knowledge, that the FBI, who really, or let's say the CIA, who really would focus on operations internationally, and i.e. not domestic issues, would then be spying on their own citizens in their own country. And this is the situation I believe we have here. And my preliminary conclusion is, in terms of context of this heinous crime, I believe Jimi Hendrix was assassinated. And if you ever wanted to know, the number for assassination is right here, 16-7 is assassination. We see it in the Trump situation, and I will be monitoring the situation, and I'm going to say it here in this episode. The September 10 date is a problem. I will be monitoring. If it gets closer to the time, or when it gets closer to the time, I'm not going to do it in retrograde. But once we're out of retrograde, at the beginning of September, if the vibe is still there, I will be covering that show. There's a problem there. All right, 16-7, so we got a double 16-7. So already on the top of 16-7, that's assassination. Okay. It went into the actual... All right, so the assassination is 16-7. On this day, September 16, we see a 33-6. There's another premeditation number. Something's already happened on this day here. So who does it ping on? Right there. No surprises, eh? 24, 6, 15, 6. FBI's been busy in a lot of different situations, eh? Shit, eh? September the 17th, look at this disaster. Now, this is what is happening around Jimi Hendrix at the time, right? We got 17 eights, 4. So let me try explain how this is a problem. Every number has its own influence, okay? Every number has its own influence on its own. Now, when you put in 4 together, it's like an explosion. It does not work, right? You know the saying, less is more? Or too many of the same spoils the broth or party or whatever you want to call it, right? So we've got chaos happening here. And 17-8 does speak about there's a message being sent. There's also a violent message being sent. There's also an unjust message being sent in the 7s. And people in authority have created chaos here. Chaos. Why is there chaos? 16-7. Because there was an assassination. Here's a jazz looking for it. 7 is a murder of innocence. 7 is a murder of innocence. Now, when we look at September 18th, the supposed day, and I'm aware, I've watched several documentaries that he had actually gone to a party the night before, or had gone lunch, then another dinner, then a party, and came home, blah. There's so many different stories, right? And so many red herrings. The 27-9, 18-9 here is a problem. Because it pings on the CIA. And there is an 18-9 at the top of the day as well, which confirms murder. And confirms murder. See the 17-8 here. The 17-8 popped up in the on the Trump assassination. You'll recall I was saying the 17-8 here significant again. It's like the same fingerprint from the Trump assassination. According to reports, Operation Chaos doesn't run anymore. It's probably called Treadstone or something. Wink, wink. So here we have fingerprints, tire prints, footprints, DNA at the crime scene of Jimi Hendrix, who in my opinion was assassinated. It included a race issue, 4, 5, 9, and 9 and 1 speak about ideologies, ideologies. And we know he was also connected with the Black Panthers. So what I can see here in terms of looking for motive was the issue of ideology and, of course, linked to race. And if we needed any further confirmation, September the 20th, here's the big wigs, 3710-1. Always present at these high-profile murders. And in this case, because there was a political element, of course, communism was the issue as well. And of course, the government of the day wanted to keep control and manage, particularly what we would call today influencers, right? So there we have it. No surprise there, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Janis Joplin. This woman is amazing. And you know, growing up a hippie myself, I guess we all wished we could have been there, right? Anyway, who would have thought? Janis Joplin. Alright, so Janis Joplin, born January 19, 1943, brings the 1-19-10-1 and the 17-8. So if we combine the 19-10-1 and the 1, we get the hidden 20 outcome 2 and the 11-2. And as mentioned with Jimi Hendrix as well, Janis also has a power number 11-2. These are people that are called to this plane. They have a particular purpose when they arrive here. And even, I will just say, people with power numbers in their date of birth, even depending on scale and what sector you're in and life, even though it might feel overwhelming at times, you can overcome it. And you have the ability to overcome these situations because you are called for this purpose. And power numbers give you that ability, that superpower, if you will. So 20 with an outcome 2 on the light side of things. We know Janis Joplin's voice had a particular resonance, and that 22 would certainly boost that for her in terms of voice and emotion and range and that sound that would come out of her voice. The 17-8, we find the musician, the singer, the artist number, 17-8. Vocal 8. Music 7 combination. Now, here's also a crossover element for Janis Joplin. And this is, of course, why she was so successful. It was because she had the crossover element. The 28-10, as a singer, yeah, she has it in spades. Now, this is the same unfortunate situation, right? I mean, of course, with all these numbers, she would be the same situation where she, in her golden years, she would be, you know, with those numbers, could be $1 billion artist. Now, it's not necessarily about the money, but it shows the potential. $1 billion businesswoman. She would be like the Madonna of today, as it were, if you get what I mean, in terms of scale of operations. And again, we were denied this because of political meddling. I'm trying my best. And, you know, people with a life path 1 are very much individuals. Now, we can all agree she plays to the crowd, absolutely. 10-1 are crowds, 22 are crowds, 20 with an outcome 2 as crowds. All these 10-1s as audiences, mass people. But when all that is said and done, she is still that person, genuinely so. And sometimes people with a life path 1 technically are selfish people, but they do it with not the intention to do it in the main. But if they intend to be selfish, they can be very, 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 very selfish. But in the case of Janis Joplin, behind closed doors, she's herself at the end of the day. She will always be herself, is the main point. Also big numbers here. All right, so let's have a look at her situation. Now, this is literally 2 to 3 weeks after Jimi Hendrix is taken out, right? So the bullshit is in the air. And these were volatile times, of course, in the world. It even affected South Africa. And I've started doing South African content, and I will include in my bouquet of content at some point an event that happened in South Africa as a result of the communist war that America and Russia were engaged in. Because there was a very prominent communist party in this country that were taken out by the CIA and MI6. We'll look at that a bit later. So for Janis, October 4, right? Okay, now it makes sense. Right, I did some prep work. It makes sense now. Janis Joplin dies October 4. And if you know the context, and by the way, the overdose thing is bullshit. Let me explain why. The day before October the 3rd, Janis makes an order. The order arrives this day, October the 3rd, based on a documentary, right? Now, technically, had she had it on this day, because she didn't, apparently, the only time she got to the stash was on October the 4th after a gig. So technically, had she taken a line, let's say year, she would have been dead. There's a 13-4 in the day. Death was at the doorstep. So 33 speaks about the chemical bomb. I believe it was heroin or whatever, right? Or whatever it was. Chemicals. Stay away from chemicals, kids. Dangerous stuff. So here we have, and by the way, it's not represented by the number 5 as it is here, for example. Now, this is not even perfect either, because 5 is actually the number for a drug, the number 5. Okay, let's just put your drugs or narcotics, right? However you want to call it. Same thing. So the issue with this, with the day of her death, is now we see the 5 is now in the open. And I'll come back and explain more on that in a minute, if you please. Just give me 1 second here. Let's get back to this 33. So already in the open is this banky or little whatever packet of heroin, right? It's already in the open. It's in play. It's in play. I'm not making up the words. Beg your pardon. It's in play, right? Have a look here. 21-3-12-3-3. Delivered to you not by Mr. Delivery, but by the CIA. Now, she may have known the dealer, but I believe the dealer was had. And in a way forced to make the delivery. Because, and we'll prove it with the numbers, because on this day, the day before, there's a lot of exchanging going on. 11-2s is about exchanging. 12-3 is a meeting of people the day before. She places an order. Now there's a meeting. So there's already taps going on here. Look at all this chitter-chatter going on here. Chitter-chatter for days. We spoke about her singing abilities. 28-10-1. Communication 8. Chitter-chatter amongst 10-1s, motherfuckers. 19-10-1s, right? Exchanges. Exchanges are happening. The bomb is in the open. It's sitting on her desk or on her table in the lounge or sitting room, waiting for her to snort it. I shit you not, right? Have a look here. October 6th. October 3rd is when she receives her order. But she only takes it later that night after the gig. October 6th. The summary reflection day. Do we have poison on the scene? 6 poison. Now, let's clarify something here, because I know you're going to ask me, and in fact here's the answer here. I was going to use this 15-6. It's in play. It's still in the reflection zone. Now, anything that is toxic to the body is obviously regarded as poison, right? Now, in this instance, what is the poison? What is it that makes it poisonous? That's the question, right? What was it about the drug that makes it poisonous? Or about the situation? The poison was laced in the drug. And the drug itself was the poison. Because in her case, apparently it was so high grade that would be considered raw heroin to that level. I'm no expert, thank God. But to that level that when you snort it, 15-6, remember the still missing princess? 15-6 is a manipulation. They meddled, a 5 human being meddled in the drug, and the outcome became poisonous. No human being on the planet could ever snort or spike that shot of heroin and die. Why? Because it was raw, and she wasn't aware of it. To her, it was just a regular chill after a gig. She didn't snort before, which also speaks about her behavior and performance. Yes, there's moments, we can all agree that she had fun on stage. But had she had fun on this particular day, she would have been fucked. So in the summary zone, we have confirmation of poisonous. Oh, I hear you say. 24, 6, 15, 6. I think we got a winner, 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 winner. And again, unfortunately, assassination. And in her case, it was about gender issues in the main, I would say. Dealing with sex, sexuality around women. 15, 6, 6. 6 is about life, eh? 6 is life, the birth, the human. Motherfuckers. Those varsity days were awesome. And the mysteries of these geniuses will continue to swirl in the human consciousness. But every now and then, we shall remember what happened. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please share your thoughts and comments. I do love engage with them. Please stay safe, stay alert. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.